Welcome back to Shaner'S Rant. This is episode 2, the same day. This is April 30th, 2026. Let's get right into it. Still celebrating my birthday a day early. Cheers, swig a beer for all you working Canadians, hard-working Canadians. And all the people that worked hard and are trying their best to afford enjoying retirement. Let's get right into it, shall we? Oh, now I'm buggered. There. Oh, come on. Oh. Off to a good start. Shit. Okay, I figured it out. Stuff just doesn't want to work for me. Anyways, I'm going to share a post from Jasmine Lane, who is like the ultimate podcaster if you are a conservative or just enjoy truth. Anyways, this lady's a young lady. She could be my daughter. I'm so old. Sorry, I just lost my thought. Anyways, she's intelligent. I'm just stupid. Anyway, so I still love her thoughts. Now, this lady, she says the things that I think in my head, but I don't have the ability to take it from here and put it out here. There's a disconnect. There just always has been, except for the dumb shit. Dumb stuff comes from here right out, no problem. The smart stuff, nope. It's got to go. Can't compute. What? Dumb shit comes out, flows real easy. Anyways, I like this post from her, and this is nothing new. And I've thought the same thing, and obviously, everybody dumped on Trudeau a year ago. Everybody hated him, even the Liberals. They said, no, you spend too much. It's out of control. And so what do? We bring in his advisor, CARNEY, make him prime minister, and he doubles the deficit. Because that's a good freaking idea. Yeah, in 1 year he doubled it. So what she got to say now, I forget. People thought replacing Trudeau with his own economic advisor would fix the economy. At what point do we admit this wasn't a change? Exactly. Or the same. And she goes on to say, I'm genuinely confused. People wanted Justin Trudeau out because of... I screwed up again. And we're back. People wanted Justin Trudeau out because of economy. Fair enough. I agreed. We all agreed. That was the one time Canada was pretty close to being 100% together. But then turned around and elected Mark Carney his economic advisor, and are now surprised that the deficit is even higher. Like, what was the expectation here? Exactly. You were warned. You were told. Polyev was like, hello, this is going to happen. Anyways, I don't know what it's going to take, but this is our graph here. So what was it? I saw the numbers. I can't read that far. My screen is like 6 feet away from me. I didn't put it on my other screen, which is closer to me, because I'm stupid. So what was it? Trudeau had a deficit last year. It was going to be like $31 billion or something like that. And like the whole, you were there, you were all there. The whole country's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, this is lunacy. And Chrystia Freeland, it's like, well, the hell with this shit. I'm not even going to read this in Parliament. This is so bad. This is so bad, you got to step down, and I'm going to run for Prime Minister, she's thinking. But nope, we get do you guys remember this? We get CARNEY in. He wasn't even elected at first. He was appointed, and he has doubled what Trudeau was going to spend for this year. He's doubled it. Or, sorry, what Trudeau was going to spend for last year. He's doubled it this year. Freeland's gone. CARNEY got in last year, and then they sat. They went on frickin' vacation. Oh my God. But no, it's all Poilievre's fault. It's all Harper's fault. Holy shit. Everything's Harper's fault, because, like, nothing's happened in the last 11 frickin' years. It's all Harper's fault for balancing the budget. And we're back. Now, I admit, podcasts like Jasmine Lane and the one I'm going to borrow from, here, let me show this so you can moose on the loose. And there's others. Mr. Sunshine Baby is one. Juno News. These are the sources where I get the clips from the government and stuff. Yes, there's a conservative spin, but these are more than podcasts to me. These are the news sources that that I use. These are journalists. These guys take it way on a whole other level than I'm able to. So like I'm sucking off of them. Like I'm using their content for basing my show. You know, like it's like I get up in the morning and they've already got a show and they've got the clips. And I'm like, I haven't even been able to start looking for a clip, and there's the clip. So, you know, however they've got it set up, all these different, I know with Juno News, they've got a team all across Canada, and, you know, a lot of these places, Elevate, look that one up. That's a great podcast, Elevate. These people make a living at this stuff, and I don't suppose I'll ever get that way, but this is fun for me. When it feels like fun, it is fun. If it feels like a chore, no, I'm not going to do it. If I'm not feeling it, I'm just not going to do it. I suck at this, and I don't ever expect to earn a dime from this, so whenever, you know. If you're offended by me and you're pissed off by me, you're really, really going out of your way to sit through all this and be angry. You're really going out of your way to do so. So just stop and just don't hurt yourself. But anyways, back to my point. I'm ranting again. So Tyler, good on you, mate. I wasn't too sure. Should I keep the taxpayer name? Rant. Am I gonna really rant? Yes, I do rant. If I let myself go, I'll rant. I'll get in myself in a lot of trouble, but I'll rant. And then I'll apologize like hell for it. But anyway, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, I'm buzzed. I've had a couple of beers now. So started my early birthday celebration. I gotta chill because I still have to have happy hour with my partner and then jam with my brother tonight. This is my second episode of the day. I'm gonna make it for a third. Ooh, it could be real rough. Anyway, I'm ranting and lost what the hell I was talking about. Oh yeah, so this guy, Moose on the Loose, this guy is like, he has got it together. He is like, bang, 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 bang. He does not waste your time like I am ranting like right now. Bang, bang, bang. He's like, Mr. Like, he's like OCD for this shit. So, anyways, you'll see. Look, David, I'm not trying to steal from you. If I can get you 2, 5, 10 more subscribers, I want to see you make money because I don't expect to make money at this. But you're so good. You, Jasmine, Elevate. I forget the guy's name and I listen to it every day. But I want you guys, you're my gang. So I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, just shut up, Shane. Just shut up. Shut up and play.
Over to CBC. Listen to this. I mean, we've got multiple pundits turning on CARNEY. This stuff is starting to snowball.
This is an historic moment, Mr. Speaker. Generations will look back at this Prime Minister, this government, this Parliament, to say that we have been there for them.
But the opposition says that doesn't stack up with reality.
This Liberal Prime Minister has now doubled the deficit that Justin Trudeau left behind, from $31 billion to $65 billion.
So what does the spring fiscal update mean for you? What does it tell us about the government's approach? I'm Rosemary Barton, here to break it all down. I was on the Globe and Mail website, Andrew, and I saw you had posted a reaction video, so I already have a sense of what you're going to say. But give me your thoughts on what you made of this document, which, happily for me anyway, wasn't a mini budget. It was really an update.
Well, you asked what does it tell us? Not much. I mean, we're still waiting to find out what this government's economic vision is and how it differs from the old government that it supposedly replaced. What we do know is we're facing a growth crisis. We have been for many years in this country, where the government is now projecting growth of 1.7% per year, which is half what we grew even in the 80s, a third of what we grew in the 50s and 60s, and seems entirely unconcerned about this. We're facing a rising debt-to-GDP ratio, especially when you combine it with the provinces. The government is not only unconcerned about this, but presents a kind of a cack-handed way of explaining it, where if...
Hold on, let me pause it there. This guy, up until like just a couple of weeks ago, Coyne is his name? Like, he's a well-to-do guy, I guess. I don't know all these people. I can't keep my own name straight. But this guy, up until a couple of weeks ago, with the last floor crossing, was totally on Carney's side, totally liberal. And he's really taken a turn. And so it really has this CBC panel the last few weeks, especially since the CBC's been taken to Parliament and they've been called out on it about being the right hand of the government. And now now people are saying, yeah, what the fuck, man? Anyways, shut up, Shane.
If you subtract the CPP and the QPP, we have a debt to GDP ratio of only 10%. Well, you can't actually use pension funds to pay off your debt. It's a completely bogus comparison. But
that's amazing he brings that up. I've said that numerous times on the channel. They always use that to try to boost the numbers, but you can't because that pension money isn't the government's money.
This is the thing. It's the same complacency. It's the same very top-down, government-directed, state-run pension investment funds and this kind of thing. There's really not any sort of new development policy and no sense of the seriousness of the situation we're in.
Well,
you can see Rosemary here pretty uncomfortable with his statements. It doesn't get any better. She keeps trying to smooth things over as this panel goes on.
To play devil's advocate, the skills training money and attempts to try to get more people into the trade seems significant in order to get the economy moving in the direction the government wants to. I mean, whether it works or not, I don't know, but I'll let you weigh in quickly.
I think that's worthwhile. I'm not saying that's bad policy, but that's not going to lift a $3.3 trillion economy off the floor.
Okay.
That's all she does. Every single time somebody says something negative about the Liberals, shut up. Stop sucking off the teat of the government.
Althea.
We're 3 for 3 now in weeks where Andrew Coyne has been on the money here. Unbelievable.
I'm more concerned with the things that weren't in the budget that I would have expected to see.
The update, yes.
Perhaps I was looking for signals to see in which direction the government was going. So first of all, if we're going to make good on this NATO commitment, and I have no reason to doubt the government, but 3.5% of GDP is a lot of money. It's $87.5 billion. What are we spending on, and where is that money? Because there was none of it really described in this update. So I think that there are questions to be asked about that. I'm also quite concerned about the nods to social programs. The government, the Prime Minister, we just heard Minister Champagne talking about being there for Canadians. The Prime Minister talks about childcare, talks about healthcare. They're letting the bilateral healthcare agreements lapse on mental health addiction, mental services, health addiction, long-term care, home care. On the child care, there is no new money for child care. They're letting an infrastructure fund lapse, which means that there's no capital funding for new child care spaces, which could mean, I've spoken to child advocates right after the budget ended, they're worried that this program basically will collapse if there's no new injection. It's certainly not going to get to the universality that we heard former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland talk about.
Or Patty Hyju just the other day. She said it last week as well. Oh, this $10 a day childcare. No, it's very limited who gets that program.
Pharmacare, there's not a mention of pharmacare. So all that money that the government...
Okay, let me pause it there. I really don't know a whole lot about the $10 a day child care, but what I did hear was that a lot of daycares had to shut down because it wasn't enough money from the government to cover the cost to even run the operation. And that there was such a wait list that by the time your kid actually could get into the child care facility, they didn't even need it anymore.
Has set aside about $600 million that Nova Scotia wants, that Newfoundland and Labrador want. Yep. The government is not signaling an intention to do anything on that. And when you talk about building Canada strong, how can you have a country where only 17% of Canadians are covered? And, it's great if you have diabetes in the Yukon, you have access to medication, but if you have diabetes in Nova Scotia, well, I'm sorry, you're going to have your leg amputated because the government doesn't want to spend the money there. So I think there's going to be some interesting...
Ouch. That's ouch right there. And she's right. You can't just have one province get this funding and another one not. The whole program should be cut. The problem CARNEY's facing is he doesn't want to spend the money in those places because he would rather spend it on things towards Brookfield.
Whoa. So, You mean to tell me our health care is not the same all across this country? You'd think that would have been priority number one a long time ago, like an even keel. Wow. So I guess I gotta move to the Yukon. Holy shit. Pretty quiet up there. I wonder if I can afford that. Yeah. I could do a podcast from the Yukon. How much is the internet there?
Conversations to be had in the next couple of months.
Aaron,
the direction the government is headed.
Aaron, what are your first thoughts?
I mean, I guess my first thought is the good news is they got through today without the finance minister resigning, which, as we all know, is not a given necessarily on update days anymore. That said, I think it's interesting that there's a return to this sort of fight over deficit spending. The Conservatives have really doubled down on that idea, you know, referring to credit card budgets. But I think to Althea's point, the other half of that is the government does say they're cutting back on operational spending. And it's not quite clear how all of that is going to play itself out. So I think the government could be facing sort of two opposing forces, right? One where they have to defend higher deficits, and the other where they have to defend some of their spending choices. I think at least on the deficit spending, you know, they have to be banking on the idea that, to Andrew's point, that some of this spending is going to boost economic growth at least a bit, or that there's at least going to be, you know, tangible signs of progress. You know, in the form of things actually being built. But I do think the sleeper issue here for them is how Canadians are going to react to some of the spending choices they're going to have to make.
I mean, if they really wanted to boost the economy, they would cut all the regulations, the carbon tax, all these things that are in the way of us building our nation. They put restrictions on us, and the average Canadian's just not paying attention. The Liberal
I said that in my last show today.
government is not a serious governing party. They're essentially an organized cartel, sending our money to foreign aid consultants, Brookfield, places that benefit them and well-connected insiders, and the average Canadian just isn't paying attention. And this panel just keeps going, and it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, I mean, the Conservatives have a point, Andrew, about the deficit spending, but economists would say this is also not the time to cut back because of the instability in the world right now.
Well, there's short-term and long-term. The short-term fluctuations of the economy are really relatively minor compared to this long-term, decades-long decline we've seen. When you cannot grow faster than 1.5, 1.6% per year, you think it's a good year if it grows 1.7, you're not going to be able to finance the kind of major defense buildup we're seeing. You're certainly not going to be able to finance the aging of the population, which is primarily a problem for the provinces, but problems for the provinces ultimately also become the federal government's problems. Sure. So we have long-term fiscal needs that the only way we can address them is with faster growth, and we've got nothing in the pipeline to actually make the economy grow faster.
Did you see in the document, though, Althea, a recognition from the government that it is juggling a bunch of unknowns at the same time as it's trying to do these different things with the economy, and that's sort of the challenge?
I guess a little of column A and a little of column B. To Andrew's point, I do think we...
Okay. Is it me or does she stutter every time she's trying to suck the government's booby? You know, Rosemary Barton, you're definitely smarter than me. Who isn't? You would be wise right now to stop with the stuttering and kissing up, because you'd be wiser to start kissing up to the other side right now. Not that I really want anybody to kiss up to the Conservatives either. I just want you to see things for what it really is. Pardon me. Just don't be blind. Be fair. Sure, ask questions, but be fair about it. You know, I can see what happened in the House of Commons, and for 90% of it, the Conservatives killed the Liberals. But there was a couple of zingers that CARNEY got out. Somebody had to write it for him, probably, that he got out against Polyev. It was like, yeah, Polyev's stance on the crypto bullshit, bang on. It was bullshit. And I guess he had to learn from that one, because that was a bad idea. Anyways, I'm ranting. This is why these shows are going so long. Maybe they're better if I do rant. But anyway, all right, let's finish this clip. Moose on the loose. I gotta go in and have a drink with Mama Moose.
We know what the government's direction is. They really believe that the investments that they're making, facilitating, and in some cases direct financial investments in these major projects, is going to send Canada on a path where the economy goes stronger. I do think, though, and maybe this is a little bit to Aaron's point as well, that kind of the sleeper issue in this document is really kind of what happens with CUSMA. It's mentioned 6 times in the document, but it's not really mentioned as to, like, if this happens, then we have a plethora of programs that we're going to release. There's a little nod to a beefed up EI, but that's basically it. And, you know, the economy could look drastically different 6 months from now, depending on what happens. And with the president's ever escalating threats and the way he's recalculating tariffs, I do think there's a lot of uncertainty in this document, and it doesn't really address that part.
Is there anything reassuring for Canadians in the document, Aaron?
You know, look, I think the government is pretty sure that it's on the right path and believes that it's got a bunch of things moving forward that are going to show fruit. You know, the idea of the major projects moving forward and the idea that that's going to, you know, come to fruition sooner rather.
Okay. I gotta pause it there for a second. I'm not even listening to this guy. He's very, very smart, but he looks like Tweety Bird. Okay. That was bad. That was bad. So 2 things to pray for. 3 things. Rosemary Barton, Francois Champagne, and this dude, Aaron Wary. I gotta apologize to God for him. That tax. Alright, let's finish this clip. I gotta get out on the patio with Mama Moose and get the barbecue going.
Rather than later. I think, though, Althea's right that there's a lot of short-term instability, obviously, facing this government. Not only CUSMA, but, you know, the entire situation with Iran, which, let us not forget, has still not been resolved. So I think short-term there's a ton of instability, and long-term I'm interested to see where the discussion goes on fiscal policy writ large. I thought there was an interesting report from the C.D. Howe Institute a few weeks ago that said, hey, if you're going to finance all this big defense spending, you're going to have to look at not only slowing the growth of non-defense spending, but you might have to look at raising the GST by a couple points. Suffice it to say, no politician has leapt up to claim that idea yet. But I think that's, you know, sort of the long-term picture that I'm interested to see how that develops.
It's quite clear CARNEY wants to increase defense spending because there's some angle that this ties back into Brookfield. Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought in Doug Guzman to head up that division, his buddy Doug Guzman.
My first thought is the good news is they got through today without the fine.
Well, my thoughts on spending for military is by hook or crook, you gotta get something done, and fast. And we're back. Was I gone? Oh, yes, was I gone. I was so far gone yesterday. I've been gone. It's now the next day. Yeah, so, yeah, I'm wearing the same clothes. I want to continue in, what's the word? continuity. I was going to say continuality. I think that works too. Yeah, so anyways, I had to go and do the dinner thing, did some barbecue with Mama Moose, and have a drink on the patio. And then I did a jam session with my brother online. It's fantastic to play with him. All these years later, we're still banging it out. And then it was bedtime. And I thought I'd be able to sleep in today. It's my birthday. So I thought, go to bed, fill up on some cheeseburgers, and get a good night's sleep. But no, I was up early today. So anyways, I got to finish the rest of this podcast and continue on with the day, because I've got 2 episodes to upload today. And look at that. Bright morning sun coming through the window. Oh, that's amazing. Last couple of days have been kind of cloudy and crappy, so I'll take any kind of sunshine. Just kind of perks me up. Yes, yes. So I just had to go back a second and see what the last clip was. So yeah, so those CBC pundits, they're always kissing the Liberals' ass, and now they're turning. They're seeing it for what it is, and they also know that the gravy train is about to stop. So yeah, I see some of the pundits turning a bit on CTV, but I haven't found any clips on that yet. So maybe I'll do a show on Sunday. We'll see how the weekend goes. Got lots planned. I'm going to set up the next clip. I'll be right back in a sec. All right, I got that set up. Now, before we go any further, good morning and a swig of coffee for all you hard-working Canadians out there. Bit of Maxwell House Dark Roast this morning. No, they're not a sponsor yet. Probably only play part of this clip because I got so much to get through and I really want to get this done and out of the way. Look at that sun on my face. Yeah, that's good.
Have a deficit that is as large as the one, even by reduced by $11.5 billion. And I know you're grounding it. You keep trying to ground it in what Canadians understand. Like, at the end of the day, a deficit leads to more debt. And the interest that we pay on that debt is stuff that we can't spend on the things that you describe will create growth in the economy or address affordability. And right now, that is projected to increase to the degree where at one point, in a few years, we're going to be paying $80 billion a year on that. That's why I ask about this subject.
It's a fair question. And I'm saying, one of the anchor we said is that operating expenses would match revenue by 28, 29. We're matching that. We're going there. So my point is that after that, just put things in perspective. What you're going to borrow is to generate growth. That is a very different proposition than what this government, previous government have done.
If it generates growth.
Well, listen, don't take it from me. Just look back to the International Monetary Fund, which said very clearly, not me, them, say if you invest in infrastructure, if you invest in housing, productivity, and innovation, those who have the fiscal capacity, like Canada, they single out not 100 countries, they single out 2 countries, Canada and Germany. They said there's only 2 countries, they can do it. If they do it, they will have higher growth. That's what the international agency are saying. And that's why you start seeing the result. We're spending less, we're investing more. I'll give you an example. When you invest in ports, when you invest in trade infrastructure, when you're going to build the nation, you see, for example, the recent investment. We have more foreign direct investment than in the last 20 years. We have at a record level. Look at Shell yesterday.
I know. We also see reports that say $1 trillion of investment fled this country over the last 10 years, right? You're rectifying it. You're perhaps like doing something different this year, but you're also the party that was in power for the last really 10.
Well, I mean, this is a new government, I would say. But I mean, you can always look at the
new government. This is a new government, I would say. It's the same people for the last 11 freaking years. Now, I agree with investing on ports and everything. We got to get this stuff going. Like, truly. Do what you got to do. Like, if we're going to go into debt, at least build something that could get us maybe out of debt, or at least make us prosperous. I don't know. I'm not that smart. But at least do something wise with borrowing more money. I don't know. what do I know? I've been bankrupt before, so.
Glass half full. I tend to be a bit more optimistic, like the world is about Canada. Trust me. If you were with me in Washington, you would see that the world sees Canada in a very different eye than what you just said. People see, if there's a place in the world to invest stability, predictability, opportunity, Canada stands out by a mile compared to other nations.
I do take your point on the positioning of Canada relative to other countries and maybe what international agencies are saying. And I'm not trying to downplay that or discredit it. But like you, I'm sure, I hear from Canadians every day who do not feel that. And in particular, when the Prime Minister in the House of Commons, on 2 occasions that I can think of in the past few weeks, says, affordability, it is the most affordable time for Canadians in the last decade. That rings particularly hollow, and there are a couple of reasons for that, though he keeps talking about how wages are outpacing inflation. I mean, if your wage goes up 3% this year, but you've seen a 30% increase in the price of food over the last 5 years, it doesn't feel like it gets you that far ahead. Sure, that's a certain income quintile, but it's not everybody. And in fact, as measured by Statistics Canada, the income inequality in this country was at a record level last year and a record level the year before. So and even the wage growth, right? For the highest income earners, they're going up 5% a year. For the lowest, it's 1.8%.
Now, see, normally she is usually sucking up to these liberals, but she's hammering him. I love it. I love it. I forgot that I had this clip.
There is nothing in what you table today to address that.
What I would say in terms of affordability measures, if you look at, again, we have taken $7 billion in new revenue. 66%, 68% is to address affordability. I'm with you when you say what people think when they wake up, many Canadians, is affordability, end of the week, end of the month. And that's why the pillar of the biggest pillar of affordability is housing, affordable homes. Because, people, that's usually the biggest portion of what you spend. We're taking generational approach to that. They say making sure that we have more affordable homes. That's the biggest
Housing
pillar.
starts are forecast to go down this year.
Well, if you look at the price of rent and the price of homes, you see that there's easing of pressures even in the major urban centers. But we've been there with grocery. I mean, it might not be a lot for you, but for families, 12 million families on the 5th of June, what we look at that, the amount we said, we look at the excess inflation on food, and we say we need to give a boost to people now.
I have to say, though, I had a gentleman write into my radio show today, text to say, how come I can't access that? I earn an okay income, but I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Like, my point is not that that's not a lot for people. It would still be a lot.
People.
Sure, but there are
40 million Canadians.
There's still 25 more million people who feel like they're suffering, and you're telling them
I love her today. Oh my God. Oh, wow. She is not a suck up. This is what happens with the media when they're getting defunded, when they're not sucking off the trough as much. Because CARNEY's defunding them. They're actually doing real journalism for a change. I'm loving it. It's not every day that they do this, but I'll take it.
IMF says we're doing okay.
Well, I would say, I mean, again, you can look at the macro thing. I was very careful because, one thing you have to show humility and empathy. So humility is to say, yes, if you look at the scorecard, you'd say it's green light. You look at everyone looking at Canada, it's green light. Then you look back and you say, okay, but hold on. If I'm in the steel industry in Hamilton, it doesn't really feel like that. So sector and regions, people are hurting, and that's why we said we're going to be there for them. But you cannot disregard also what we're doing to transform the economy of this country. When we're talking about the major project office, 126 billion of investment. You look at Shell yesterday. This is a big vote of confidence. By the way, when you can put the international agency aside if you don't like, but people who put their money in Canada, they have a choice. They can put it here, they can put it in Australia, they chose Canada. And that's what we're seeing, is that people understand what we're trying to do. We said we need to reduce the time to get permitting. We need to build more in this country. We need to be more ambitious, faster, bigger. And I think that is resonating. And that's why I say it's a boost and a bridge, because the boost is like today, and I appreciate the gentleman you talk about. The bridge is that we're seeing the numbers of growth coming. And if the economy grows, that's why we said, for example, the sovereign fund. Now people will be able to participate in that.
I have about 1,000 questions about that, but I know you have a million other interviews, so we'll save it for our next one. Yeah.
If you're invited,
I'll wait till you announce the details in a number of months.
Look forward to that.
Yeah.
Oh man, that sovereign fund. Well, I'm not going to get into it now, but what a joke. Don't you have to have money for that? Like, you can't just borrow and, shut up, Shane. You're not prepared for this one. Okay, actually, I did have a little meme, or whatever you want to call this. I'd like a $25 billion loan. Tell her, what do you need it for? I want to open a savings account. I'm calling it a sovereign wealth fund. Oh man, I need somebody smart on that one to talk about that. I gotta get more info on that. That'll be on another show. But anyway. Okay, moving forward, I'm gonna cut out some of the other stuff I was gonna do because I want to play Pierre Poilievre's speech in the House of Commons from this past week, and it's kind of rather long, and then I'll get to the funny stuff and end the show. But this is a long speech, but sums up everything. Everything that, if you really listen to the words he says, put aside what you might feel about the guy, this speech says everything that we as conservatives think and feel. To my understanding, to my belief system anyways. So let's give it a listen. Without further ado.
Now in English, congratulate the minister for his speech and thank him for his commitment as a father. Thank him for his commitment to simplify the disability tax credit. Our people should be spending their times living their lives rather than filling out forms. We want to make life simpler for people who already have enough. Unfortunately, then comes the bad news. This Liberal Prime Minister has now doubled the deficit that Justin Trudeau left behind, from $31 billion to $65 billion. Everyone thought it would be impossible to outspend the reckless Justin Trudeau, but then this new Liberal Prime Minister came along and said, "Hold my champagne, Mr. Speaker." On this day, as the Prime Minister congratulates himself for putting an 11th Liberal budget on the national credit card and tells Canadians that affordability is the best it's been in a decade, let us remember that his illusions are not reality. With Canada's food prices rising the fastest in the G7, just last week in Calgary, on April 25th, thousands of families lined up for hours at the Guru Nanak Free Kitchen. Many with suitcases, Mr. Speaker, so that they could take away 80,000 pounds of free potatoes and groceries because they cannot afford to feed themselves. In Moose Jaw, the food bank has had to limit visits to once a month instead of 2. I don't know what people are doing for the rest of the year. 150% increase in the demand at that local food bank under this Liberal government. Nationwide, food banks are recording nearly 2.2 million visits per month. That's double from 7 years ago. Working parents are skipping meals so their children can eat. Seniors are choosing between groceries and medication. Young families are staring down mortgage increases as inflationary government spending drives up their mortgage costs. And all of this, Mr. Speaker, is leading to real misery in people's lives. Real human costs that we saw with the report of the World Happiness Index, which saw Canada fall from 5th happiest in the world to 25th during the span of this Liberal government. Among Canadians under the age of 25, we now rank 71st behind the US, UK, Australia, and even Kazakhstan, Vietnam, and Moldova. Who would have thought that Kazakhstani youth, Vietnamese youth, Moldovan youth would be happier than Canadians in their youth in the springtime of their lives, Mr. Speaker? That is the tragedy of Liberal credit card budgeting that impose higher costs on people's lives. Here's how it works. They put the nation's bill on the national credit card, and they force Canadians to put their bills on their personal credit cards. Meanwhile, a small group of Liberal elites and corporate insiders get fantastically rich off government handouts, bailouts, and carve-outs. Today's Liberal fiscal updates brings more costs, more debt, and more bills on the national credit card. This Prime Minister is just another Liberal. Here are the facts. Here are the facts. He doubled the deficit from 31 billion to 65 billion. Prime Minister broke his promise that he would reduce the debt to GDP ratio over the fiscal horizon. Today he reported the debt to GDP ratio will go up, not only over the fiscal horizon, but in every single year that this government serves. He broke his promise to spend less, with spending year over year going up 4.9%, which is far more than the combined inflation and economic growth, and about twice inflation plus population growth. He's added $37 billion of brand new spending measures in this economic update alone, on top of tens of billions of dollars already announced in the last year. Since taking office a year ago, this Liberal Prime Minister has created 13 new government agencies. Outside of COVID, last year's was the largest deficit in Canadian history, and this year's spending is the highest as a share of GDP since 1996. Interest on the national debt will hit $59 billion this year, more than we transfer for health care and more than we collect in GST. That means every penny you pay, Speaker, in GST goes to bankers and bondholders, not to doctors and nurses. Wow. Shame, Mr. Speaker. Every Canadian will spend $3,400 on interest payments. An increasing share of spending goes to Liberal elites and corporate insiders, so not everyone is hurting. The Prime Minister's so-called sovereign wealth fund, which has no wealth to put in it, is relying 100% on the national credit card. And today we learned that they're going to spend millions of dollars to set up a transition office that will eventually set up a permanent office to borrow on the national credit card to place bets on Liberal-chosen corporations. Then there's $3 billion for international climate finance. The same money scheme this Prime Minister used to enrich himself at Brookfield and through his now bankrupt Net Zero Alliance. I see someone over there from Brookfield was applauding. It was the former environment minister, and guess what? He might feel like he's out of business sitting in the corner, but no worries, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister's Net Zero Alliance is also bankrupt, so he's not alone. Been wrong about everything, by the way. Everything. He tells us every day how smart he is. He was wrong to say we needed a bigger and broader carbon tax, wrong to oppose the pipeline to the Pacific, wrong to say there would be deflation after COVID, wrong to say that printing money wouldn't cause prices to go up, wrong to say we should keep 50% of our oil in the ground, Mr. Speaker. How can we ever expect him to get anything right when he's been so wrong for so long? And there's $11 million to hold a summit. One meeting with a bunch of global financial elites will cost $11 million. And in case you're worried that this is something new, Justin Trudeau held the same meeting with the same people at the Shangri-La Hotel 10 years ago to set up the infrastructure bank. And how did that work out, Mr. Speaker? Under this Prime Minister, Canada now has the highest household debt in the G7, the most unaffordable housing in the G7, the lowest investment per worker in the G7, the second worst productivity, and the second highest unemployment in the G7. $500 billion of net investment has fled to the United States. Twice as much capital has left than has returned. Twice as many Canadians are starting businesses abroad than they are at home. In fact, more Canadian firms opened in the U.S. than opened in Canada last year. Last week's Liberal convention had a solution for all these people and this money leaving. They said they want an exit tax, Mr. Speaker, a gigantic wall of taxes to prevent people from fleeing the costly policies of this Prime Minister. Any country that punishes its citizens for fleeing has lost its hope. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business reports that after 1 year of this Liberal Prime Minister, more businesses closed than opened. That we face an entrepreneurial drought, that high costs, red tape, and uncertainty are crushing the next generation. Closures have outpaced startups for 6 straight quarters, over half of small businesses told a survey they would not recommend someone start a business in Canada today. Canada's economic foundations, the CFIB concludes, are cracking. We cannot regulate and tax ambition out of our economy and expect to build a strong country, Mr. Speaker. Nothing has changed. Everything costs more. No real tax reform other than the rebranding of the carbon tax to be called the Clean Fuel Standard. He promised to cut red tape, and yet not one anti-development law has been removed. And as I said, 13 new agencies have been created. He said he would build at speeds not seen in generations, yet after we gave him unprecedented legal powers to approve big national projects, that new office that those laws created has not approved a single one. And then there's the pipeline to the Pacific, he promised. Mr. Speaker, it has no permit, no route, no investor, no start date, no end date, no starting point, no end point. And the only company that says that we know could actually build the pipeline, Enbridge, says that liberal laws and taxes will prevent us from creating enough oil, generating enough oil to put in it. And finally, he wants Alberta to spend $20 billion on a money-losing carbon capture project that has never been proven anywhere as a condition for building the actual pipeline. And what about his famous Davos speech on middle power alliances? It's produced a lot of MOUs, but zero new free trade agreements around the world. Announcements are not results. Lofty speeches do not pay mortgages, fill tanks, or stock the shelves. At the root, this Prime Minister still holds the same liberal ideology of top-down government control that concentrates power and money among insiders like him. That philosophy that doubled our debt, killed growth, and priced families out of the basics. He's been wrong on all of those issues all along, Mr. Speaker. After 1 year of this Prime Minister, our economy is weaker, more expensive, and less hopeful. I share these harsh facts because we must replace the illusion with reality if we are going to fix what the Liberals broke. Mr. Speaker, it has been said that optimism without realism is delusion, and realism without optimism is surrender. We will neither delude ourselves about the harsh reality nor surrender to Liberal failure. Today, we speak as Conservatives of a different, more hopeful, and a better Canada. A Canada that is the most affordable and autonomous anywhere on earth. Everything in Canada should be dirt cheap because we have the most dirt in which to build homes, dig resources, and grow food, Mr. Speaker. We hold the most resources per person of any country in the history of the world. A home with a yard, heat in the winter, and fuel in the tank should be easily affordable. With vast farmland, cost of food should not even be a concern. We should be able to afford everything we want in this wonderful, splendid country and all of the abundant bounty that we have been given. That is our birthright, and it is our potential. Our mission, affordable, autonomous, strong country, is realistic. We possess the third most uranium, the most hydro potential, the cheapest natural gas to produce affordable, abundant electricity. We have the most oil reserves anywhere in the G7 and the shortest shipping distances from the Americas to both Asia and Europe. We have the most land per person of any G7 country by far on which to build homes. We rank third globally in farmland per person. We should have the most affordable food. Conservatives choose a big, open, free market economy where everyone can fulfill their potential, where our money is sound, where it buys more, and where the people are thoroughly in charge of their own lives. Mr. Speaker, our plan rests on 4 principles. 1, affordable, abundant energy. 2, low inflation and taxes by cutting the cost of government. 3, free market competition. And 4, national self-reliance. Energy touches every aspect of our lives. Conservatives therefore propose to scrap all taxes for all of the year on gas and to get rid of all carbon taxes forever. Workers and farmers will pay less. Truckers will deliver our goods more affordably. But we also need strong money. Strong money rewards work and savings, like Switzerland. We will balance budgets in the medium term by slashing spending on consultants, bureaucrats, corporate welfare, foreign aid, and false refugee handouts. We'll cancel the $90 billion wasteful Alto Rail and enforce a strict dollar-for-dollar rule. Every new dollar of spending will be matched with a dollar of savings to pay for it. We will unlock and unblock the free enterprise system. We'll end corporate welfare, cut taxes, end taxes on home building, energy, reinvestment, and lower taxes on work by simplifying and lowering the rates in our Income Tax Act. We will unblock home building and resource extraction by eliminating delays. And, Mr. Speaker, we will do all of this because we believe in an economy that serves the hardworking people of this country. The choice is clear. We can have an economy of lobbyists and handouts or hard work and competition. Political aristocracy or economic meritocracy. I choose meritocracy, Mr. Speaker. And the final principle, of course, is autonomy. Our Canadian Sovereignty Act will bring home paychecks and production through free enterprise and not subsidies. We will repeal the anti-development law C-69, lift the northern BC oil shipping ban, scrap the industrial carbon tax, cut regulatory burdens by 25% in 2 years, bring in a 2-for-1 rule. Every new regulation must eliminate 2 old ones. We will move to the world's fastest permitting, and we will bring in binding pre-permits so that we can get projects moving quickly and our economy rolling. And we will unblock a dozen LNG plants, create a strategic energy and mineral reserve for crises and for leverage, and we will use that leverage to fight for tariff-free trade with the United States. That means building up our leverage to end the needless tariffs on our steel, aluminum, autos, and lumber. Pushing a new auto pact will also allow us to work with our American friends to increase production on both sides of the borders. We will seek to relaunch the Keystone Pipeline to move hundreds of thousands of additional barrels of oil south of the border, and we will not seek a permanent rupture with our closest customer in favor of a strategic partnership for a new world order with the dictatorship in Beijing, a regime that the Prime Minister admitted. Canada sells 20 times more to the United States than it does to China, and that is not going to fundamentally change, no matter how many illusions and falsehoods the Prime Minister promises. The same Prime Minister knows that. That's why he has 91% of his investments in the United States and not in Canada. Unfortunately, under his leadership, his investments are among those that have fled. In short, we need to remove the obstacles, the tariffs, the taxes, the red tape, and the bureaucracy. Other government obstacles need to be removed. In essence, we need the government to get out of the way. It's not what they must do, it's what they must stop doing. As Saint-Exupéry, the famous French author, said, perfection is not achieved when there's nothing left to add, but when there's nothing left to remove. Removing liberal burdens, liberal taxes, liberal red tape, we will liberate the Canadian people to fulfill their potential. By lifting 11 years of liberal burdens, we can free Canadian energy, genius, and ambition. There is a Canada in the hearts of every immigrant and pioneer, every Indigenous person whose lineage dates back to time immemorial. And it is this, that with freedom we can achieve anything, that our promise is not a memory, it is our destiny. Imagine a young tradesperson able to afford the homes that he builds, a mother filling her grocery cart worry-free, making decisions about her children's nutrition and not worried about emptying her bank account. Families breathing freely, entrepreneurs launching ideas the same day they invent them. Our resources coming out of the ground and enriching all of our people, not foreign coffers. No limits exist on the potential of the Canadian people when they are free to pursue them. We must be realistic and optimistic, because a realist counts the odds while an optimist changes them. Let's do both. Thank you very much, Mr.
Speaker. Okay. So, what's wrong with that? What can you possibly say is wrong with all of that? How can you put that down? How can you say anything against prosperity? How can you say anything against anything that the man has said? You can put him down for past mistakes. You can put him down for personality traits that you don't like. You can say, you can make up all kinds of crazy stuff. You can repeat things that other people have said that you haven't even looked into yourself. But can you actually look and listen and think for yourself and say, well, that's all wrong. That's wrong. That's the wrong approach. Like, and if you do, well then you really gotta give your head a shake. Okay, moving forward. Long story short, I can't get the picture of Mr. Roper up, but we'll do the couple of jokes and end this, because I gotta order me in some breakfast. I got a local grill uptown that I'm gonna order in. They make the world's best toasted western, and I'm gonna actually get that with some, and add some bacon and double cheese to the sucker, and that'll put me in a coma, and I hope I can have a nap. That's my first real plan after doing this. Nap. Eat and nap. Pig out and nap. Yeah. All right, first joke. Give a man a plane ticket and he flies for a day. Oh, shoot. Sorry, I screwed something up on my computer here. Anyways, give a man a plane ticket and he flies for a day. Push him out of a plane at 3,000 feet and he'll fly for the rest of his life. I can't find the laughter. Oh, there it is. Now I gotta do this again. Oh, wrong one. I'm struggling this morning with my computer. Anyway, now I've lost everything. Oh. Okay. I got over my addiction to chocolate, marshmallows, and nuts. It wasn't easy. It was a rocky road. All right. Last one. I moved into an igloo, and my friends threw me a housewarming party. Worst idea ever. Now I'm homeless. Anyways, I kind of like it better with the booing sound effect. Makes me chuckle more. Oh, shit. Wow. All right, so let's end this, because I don't know what else is going to go on today. I got to get into my my good luck bathtub still. I got to have my cold plunge. $100 cold plunge, get into my $200 portable sauna. My back's hurting. Put on some deep relief spray first, get in there. Maybe I can actually walk. Anyways, thank you so much for watching and listening and all that. And you have been a dynamite audience, and you deserve to give yourselves a round of applause. And one last word. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other out there. Just know that if you're feeling down, somebody out there loves you, somebody out there needs you. Anyways, thanks again, take care, God bless, and all that jazz.